Hey guys, it's Pastor Lucas and Dr. Fairchild again. We are coming back to talk about this week's Bible Study for Life lesson, and that is for February the 9th.
The 9th.
Knew that. For February the 9th. And this week we're going to be talking about Hannah's prayer. Now, Hannah had a young son named Samuel, who ended up being really, really important in the Old Testament and really just throughout the history of Israel because of some of the things God is going to ask him to do and his obedience in doing those things. But what we're looking at first is his mother's prayer and how that impacted not just biblical but global history from here on out. Our unit verse is Proverbs 3:5, which says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own understanding." Whoa, looky there.
I just so up and out of the poster.
Very nice. And so this is, again, we're using the Christian Standard Bible for all of these things instead of the KJV verses. Our weekly verse, though, is going to be Psalm 17:6, and that will be the very first verse on the take-home sheet that the kids take a look at. So Esther, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing in our Sunday school hour.
Okay, so every week the way that we do our church service is we have a big church first thing, and then we have a Sunday school hour, and then big church again at the end. So we're just going to jump in and talk about Sunday school first. We always have our teachers ready for class about 15 minutes early. We have some music on, so we want the kids to be warmly welcomed when they get there. And so teachers,
music in my head right now.
I see that.
Really
it seems good. So teachers, you want to be sure and greet your kids by name. At our church, we have a check-in station where we put a little sticker on the kid that has their name on it. And so find some system so that your teachers always recognize their kids by name. That's super important. So when the kids have arrived and you have greeted them and they've had some time to kind of warm up and play a little bit, we always like to start with a game.
Absolutely.
So we are going to circle up. I always say something like, "Hey friends, I need you to come sit in a circle with me." So we'll sit down and we are going to play the game where each person goes around and tells part of the story. I'm not actually distributing anything.
Gotcha.
Right. So
storyteller game.
Storyteller game. So we go around and each person adds a little bit to the story. And the story I would start with is, yesterday I went to the store and I bought
Cabbage.
Cabbage is what Pastor Lucas would buy,
Absolutely.
apparently. So we go around and each person has to say what their predecessors said and then add something to it. So the key thing, and we can do this, you're going to be silly about words. So the key thing that we're going to learn out of this story is that it's important to be a good listener. If you're not being a good listener, you're not going to know that Pastor Lucas wanted to buy cabbage. And so when it gets around to your time to add to the story, you won't be able to do that very well.
I feel like cabbage is underutilized.
Maybe it is.
Like nothing is cabbage. Like we have all stuff that's like scented like lilac and, fresh spring. Like where's the cabbage scented soaps? That's what I want to know.
I think it's in a different part of the country.
All my people that are like making their own soaps, like nobody picks cabbage.
Okay, so there's there's a cry among the public for cabbage scented
I went to the store
items.
and bought cabbage scented soap. And it was great.
No, because there was none.
Because nobody wanted to sit around me.
It's the truth. We're going to move on, friends. So the moral of this game is you got to be a good listener. God is a good listener. He wants us to be a good listener.
Certainly.
So then...
Also cabbage soaps.
Cabbage is... we're going to talk later about your scent choices.
Yeah.
So then we're going to move into story time. We have a specially designated little room that is for story time. If you don't have space for that, I really encourage you to have a corner that is story corner. Getting the kids into that place is going to help them kind of orient their behavior to know what's expected of them at that time.
Absolutely.
So go to your story space and we're going to bring out our little story paper. So, you want to read it for us?
Yeah, just because you saw the first word and don't want to say it.
I sure do.
That
Go
is
right
exactly
ahead.
what it was.
Uh-huh.
Elkanah was a good man. That's it. That's all you just didn't want to say, Elkanah. And don't spit that all over our really nice camera equipment. Elkanah was a good man, and he loved his wife Hannah very much.
He was a good man.
He was.
I would never make fun of Elkanah.
Each year, Elkanah and Hannah traveled from their home to the hill country to Shiloh to worship and offer sacrifices at the temple. Hannah was very sad because she wanted to have a child. In fact, she was so sad that she could not eat. Elkanah tried to take good care of her and to encourage her to eat. He asked Hannah, "Am I not better than 10 sons?" But Hannah was not happy. She wanted a baby. On one of her visits to the temple, Hannah prayed eagerly and wept. She said, "Lord, if you will give me a son, I will give him back to you so he can serve you all of his life." Eli, the priest of the temple, watched Hannah as she prayed. He saw her praying silently and without moving her lips, making any sound. He thought there was something wrong with her. "I am broken-hearted," Hannah told Eli. "I have been praying to God." "Go in peace," Eli told her. "May God grant your requests." Elkanah and Hannah went home, and God did answer Hannah's prayers. After some time, Hannah had a son and named him Samuel. Hannah kept her promise, and when Samuel was old enough, she took him to the temple. "God has answered my prayers," Hannah told Eli. Hannah worshipped God, and then she left Samuel with Eli to serve God. And that's essentially Samuel 1:1.
Mm-hmm.
I say Samuel 1:1. First Samuel chapter 1 is essentially what that story is. Also in the Bible, you'll realize that while it says here he thought something was wrong with her, the thing he thought was wrong with her is he thought there was a drunk lady on the doorsteps of the temple.
In the morning, and he chastised her.
He was not happy about the drunk lady on the temple.
Or kind, to be honest.
Well, yeah, probably not.
No, come on.
Not at all.
That lady's drunk out there. There's probably problems. She needs some help.
Some serious help.
She needs some help. Okay.
So that's where we're at. It's good for you to have that kind of frame of reference because the kids will ask, what did he think was wrong with her? Did he think he was sick? No. Inebriated. Just use a word the kids aren't going to figure out.
That's what we do.
That's exactly what we do.
Okay.
That's our trickeration.
So when you're done explaining the story to the kids,
Right.
There are some review questions right there on the side of the page that you can go over with them. You just want to check for comprehension. You don't have to use those questions. And usually the questions that the children pose are going to lead some conversation. So be sure and take time to answer all that, to explain how it can apply to their lives as much as you can. And then when you're done with that time, then we're going to move into some missions discussion. So right now we are studying, can you grab that for us?
I can.
We're studying a family that's ministering in the Czech Republic. So we've got a little video about that you can show the kids if you want to. We also have in the disc that Lifeway provides, there is some material about the Czech Republic and
There's
this
a map.
specific family. And Pastor Lucas loves maps, so I even printed him up an extra
Nice.
one because I'm a good listener. Next week, cabbage. Just kidding. So.
What if, never mind, I have no good ideas currently.
None. So
It's a crossword puzzle.
there's that. So there are those supplies. If you want to, in your group, you can print up a whole little booklet about the Czech Republic that the kids can take home. They can work on their crossword puzzle, however you want to do that. But that's where we include a routine talking about missionaries and the work they do. And we always bring that around to, some people are called to be missionaries in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
But for right now, God has us planted in Lake Dallas, Texas. So what can we do to serve as missionaries here? When we're done talking about all those things, there's a penny game in the book on page 97.
Okay.
So with this penny game, what you're going to do
Yeah,
is
talk to me.
get 2 teams of kids, and you're going to have them race to count 100 pennies. So that each team of children,
Uh-huh.
we have our little offering bucket back there.
Yeah, and they're going to count 100 pennies.
I'm going to dump out that offering bucket.
Right.
And I'm going to make sure ahead of time that there's at least 200 pennies in it. And they are going to race with their team to collect 100 pennies out. And then when somebody has won that race, then each team pulls out 1 penny. And that's how many people in the Czech Republic, out of 100 people, only one of them knows about Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's going to be a cool little visual for them to kind of
Yeah, no
understand.
kidding.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
So,
We've played the game. We've talked about the missions.
then we're going to line up and come down to Big Church.
What? So in our Big Church time, we will have a call to worship, which we'll ask the kids to participate in, singing and doing a worship song with us. We'll do announcements, and then we'll bust into our kids' corner. And what I'll do is I'll call the kids on stage, and I'll just simply ask them the same question I do every week, which is, what did you learn about in Sunday school? And we will get a plethora of answers, some dealing with Sunday school and some with just, some interesting things that happened that week or that day or right now.
Absolutely.
And
you never know.
You really don't. And from there, though, we'll discuss Hannah and her prayer to God and the way that it was answered. But also these review questions that we went over earlier, the questions are going to be something along these lines. What did Hannah do that seemed strange to Eli? Did God grant Hannah's request? What happened to Samuel, to Hannah's son? Talking about those different kinds of things. After a little bit of time, we'll pray for the kiddos. We'll send them up and out over to Children's Church. We'll greet one another, and then that's when Esther and her team will take back over.
So when we get back down the hall to Big Church, by the way, I just want to pause right now and say thank you to Lisa Walraven. You weren't here last week, and I missed you because I have not realized how you stand guard in front of the donuts when we're walking back down the hall.
This is so true.
And we missed you this past week. Miss Esther missed you. It was harder to come down the hall without you there. So anyway.
No doubt.
Love to Lisa. So we will come down the hall and we will get past the donuts.
We will. Mm-hmm. We will saunter past the donuts.
Mm-hmm. No problem. And when we get down the hall, we are going to play another game. So this game is called Prayer Postures.
This looks like a Tim Hawkins routine.
Oh, that's a fun idea. So we're going to have a die, and the kids will get to take a turn rolling the die, and whatever number it lands on, they have to race to get into that posture.
Okay.
And whatever kid gets to that posture first gets to roll the die next. So it's just a fun little thing.
Yeah, so what are our proper prayer postures? On your knees, in a chair, hands up, lying down. I like this one, but it's not I gotta make sure I say the word properly. A prostrate lying down. It is a lying down on his back.
Like, what are these?
Mm-hmm. This is head bowed and not head bowed. There's a serious difference. And then moving or walking. Okay, I like that it's a prayer posture in a lot of different ways because it shows us that we can always be praying to God. There's no specific thing that we need to be doing.
You could be pulling a Hannah and have your mouth moving and you're not saying any words.
That's
it does
true.
not mean you're drunk, Eli.
Yeah, gosh. Or that something's wrong with you. Politically correct Lifeway material book.
So we'll play that game, and then we are going to circle up for video and snack time.
Great.
We always do snack time concurrently with the video so that our little mouths are occupied and we can hear better. So we watch a little video, and it basically goes exactly through the story that was written on the paper for us. They do some cute little additions, much like you and I.
Aww.
And then when we're done with that recap of the story, then we're going to watch the week's Mooseberry Academy video.
Yes, with Alexandria.
He's a listener. What a good listener
Thank
you
you.
are.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. So currently the kids are in the tunnels under the school that do not exist.
Right.
And they have found the head master of the school. And
he's in the tunnels?
He was in the tunnels. The bad girl had locked him up down there, and she was trying to take over the school. And it was a mess, but we're getting through it. So
this is stressful.
I'm telling you.
I haven't even seen any of these videos. I'm very stressed out by the tunneling students and the kidnapped headmaster.
You know what? This evening, when you head home, I'm just going to send you with the video.
You won't have them for Sunday morning. I'll forget them, like, no doubt in my mind.
And you live so far away from the church building. It would be impossible.
I do live within walking distance of our church, but
I mean, like a 2-minute walk.
Yeah, it will seem like forever on Sunday morning, though. So
okay.
Maybe I'll just catch up afterwards.
You're gonna have to binge it.
Yeah.
So
they don't have this streaming on Lifeway Plus.
Maybe. You're listening, Lifeway? Are you being good listeners?
Figure it out. Sort yourselves out, Lifeway, and get this going.
Yeah. So we will watch all that. We always have a good conversation after that, especially the kids who have gotten to hear it a couple of times now. It's begun to kind of sink in, and they have some things to talk about. And then the last few weeks, we've actually been having some really great prayer time.
That's
We're
awesome.
circling up, and the kids are remembering things that other kids asked us to pray about weeks ago. And this past week, somebody was like, "Hey, Hunter, how's your grandpa? We prayed for him," and stuff like that. So it's really encouraging to see them growing in their journey.
Yeah.
So take some time, visit with your kids, and then when you've wrapped up there, we'll break into small groups. So we are going to break into 2 groups, and one team will go to crafts first, and the other will go to games first. So it seems like we play a lot of games, and that's because we do.
Keeps the kids engaged.
Games are fun. So
Gets the wiggles out.
it does. And you can learn while you're moving.
It's called debriefing.
Yeah. And kinetic.
Yeah.
So these, guess which state we're in?
Texas.
That's the one. So we are going to play a beanbag toss, but it's with feet. So the kids have to stand up in a circle, and they're going to put this on their foot, and then they're going to pass it to the other kid's foot. And whichever
Okay.
kid drops it off their foot, these are great ideas.
No, they're stellar.
Yeah,
What could possibly go wrong as he gets to kick beanbags?
all the things.
Yeah, good.
So when it falls off of a kid's foot, that
Yeah.
kid has to answer a question about the story for the week.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so you'll go around a few times. Meanwhile, in the craft section,
Yes.
we're going to be making some little parachute jumper guys.
Okay, yep.
See?
The,
Here, watch this.
the Lord's Army paratroopers. But,
Do over.
restart.
That's okay, that's okay. Oh,
Hey.
hey, yeah, I'm just going to do it from right here.
Hey!
See?
That was
He
a
floats.
pretty quick descent and almost off the table, but he survived.
He's fine.
He survived.
So, see?
No, it's-
it's not so easy.
Super fine. Got it. There's just so much resistance that you just keep going. I got this.
Yep. So we're gonna make these little parachute guys. For one, because they're just a lot of fun, and for two, because the way we're gonna tie this back into the lesson is that sometimes God can take what seems like junk to us and
Make it a
use
bonnet.
it in your life to make something cool, like a bonnet. So that's how we're gonna tie it in. The truth is that is not out of our book this week, but what was in our book, I didn't feel like was gonna work great for our kids. So I just modified it.
There you go.
Feel free to do that. for your
And
kids.
if you've ever been skydiving or you want to talk to the kids about it, like it takes a lot of instruction. If you do this without listening well, bad things are gonna happen.
Oh, what another great way to tie it in.
You know what they say the hardest thing about skydiving is, don't you?
No.
The ground. Actually, what my skydiving instructor told me. That was his opening joke. And all of us are sitting there mortified. We're like, isn't that
That
funny?
is not funny.
At all. He was
That
like,
is-
oh, you won't know the difference. Come on. Oh, man.
After we
Got it.
scoop you up
Gallows
out
humor.
of the ground. Okay, so that is all we have for this week.
Yep.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When the kids get picked up, I know you were hoping that was going to land on my head.
I wasn't. I just wanted him out of frame. It was irritating.
Right.
Sure.
So every week when the kids get picked up,
Yes.
we give them some of these take-home sheets. These are pretty cool. So they are for different ages. Here's the pre-K one.
Here's this is for grades 1 through 3. It's got a little word search on it. One of the things that's really cool about this, we mentioned it at the beginning of the video down here in what is the bottom left-hand corner, are verses that you can go through as a family all during the week. It does some really cool things if you do that. One, it instills priority for Bible study in the home with the kids, which is a wonderful thing. It starts off with the verse for this week, being in Psalms, and so that's a really awesome thing, is that they've got something directly to relate it to. It also has on it the exact story, word for word, that we've gone over. And it's so important that we reinforce these stories because, like we said last week, about the time that we get sick of saying something is the time when other people really start to listen and to adopt it. Speaking of which, the last thing that we go over with our kids every week are the ABCs of the gospel.
That's right.
And that is just the very easy, simple, laid out plan of salvation, which A is to admit that you're a sinner. B is to believe
That's right.
that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and that God raised him from the dead. And the third is to choose to follow Jesus. Now, whether you use choose or confess or however it is that you decide to work that, those are so key in making sure that not only kids know how, or how they can reach their own salvation by accepting Christ or their own path to salvation, right? None of us save ourselves. But also so that they can explain to their friends and neighbors and parents. And we've seen some parents that have gotten saved because their kids or their students have been able to explain the plan of salvation to them. It's been pretty incredible. So it's an easy way not just for them to remember it and to instill it in their heart, but also for them to use as a tool for evangelism.
Okay.
Rock and roll.
I think that really is everything now.
All right. Well, you guys have a great week. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.